Coming up on NCC News, with summer officially arriving tomorrow, you may be looking for a pool near you. But find out how various pools in the county may be harmful.
We know how difficult it is to live on minimum wage. We'll give you the breakdown of how hard it is later.
And the TSA is expecting a hectic summer of travel. Find out their tips for how to prepare for the crowded airports. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us at 4 o'clock for NCC News. I'm Zach Staten.
And I'm Ashley Burrows.
We want to keep family together. At the same time, we have to be strong on the border. Otherwise, you'll have millions of people coming up. Not thousands like we have now. You'll have millions of people flowing up.
After receiving a wide spread of criticism, President Trump has signed a temporary immigration bill to allow children to be detained with their family as they wait decisions on cases. Although Trump signed the bill, it doesn't stop families from getting arrested at the border. We will have more on Democrats and Pope's reaction to the zero tolerance policy.
What a wonderful country that welcomes me.
Today at City Hall, groups from around Syracuse gathered to celebrate World Refugee Day. Members of the NAACP, Interfaith Works, and the New American Forums raised the flag of the United Nations to help raise awareness of refugees around the globe. With immigrant families being separated at the U.S.-Mexico border, this year's Day of Commemoration has a deeper emotional impact for those in today's events.
What is it that we can do as a community so that you can release these children to their parents? When you grow up without a parent, something goes wrong.
The New York Department of Health is releasing records of more than 25,000 pool violations across New York State in 2017.
Our Odea Pincus is live at Thorndon Park with more about pools around central New York. Odea, what can you tell us?
Thanks, Zach. So right behind me, Thorndon Park Pool in the Thorndon Park in the middle of Syracuse. Now, it's one of many pools across central New York and New York State in general that have received violations about the safety of their pools. Now, the citations for this pool in particular include not having the proper safety markings and specifically depth markings at the bottom of the 5-foot depth line. The Thorndon Park pool, many pools on the list belong to hotels, but some of the public pools have violations like Lincoln Park Pool, Burnett Park Pool, and Onondaga Park Pool. Now, the Onondaga Department of Health the Department of Health classifies these violations within 2 categories, red and blue. Now, the blue violations are less serious and involve things like signage and operation and maintenance. Now, Thorndon Park has a blue violation, but the red violations are what are more serious, and those are things like public health hazards like overcrowding and cleanliness. So really what it is that there are 387 violations within Onondaga County just alone, and then within 865 within CNY. So we'll check back with NCC News later for more on the different violations within the county. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks very much, Odea. Now we turn back to weather, where it's the last day of spring and the sun's coming out across central New York. The question is, how long will it stay around? Brittany Henderson is live on the weather deck to tell us more. How's it looking out there, Brittany?
Well, Zach, it's looking pretty good out here. A little bit of sun outside, partially cloudy with a nice breeze coming through, making it a great day to go out and about. If you look at current conditions, you'll see it's about 74 degrees and barometer at 30 inches, which is why it's partially cloudy, humidity at 46%, and north and west winds coming at 5 miles per hour, which is why we have that nice breeze coming in. And it should cool off at about 57 degrees later this evening. And it may be rain, so you might want to bring your jacket if you are enjoying this last night of spring. Back to you, Zach.
Thanks, Brittany. Organizations in Central New York are getting more funding to combat the tick problem. Cornell University will get $130,000 to study how ticks are distributed throughout the state. The Cornell Cooperative Extension is getting $26,000 to run a series of forums to educate the public. And SUNY ESF is getting $50,000 to see how disease transmission risks are changing.
Now, part of South Townsend Street is still closed after a pickup truck caught fire because of an explosion.
Workers across downtown say they heard the explosion. Authorities say the driver realized the bed of his truck was on fire and safely escaped. No injuries are reported. Firefighters and Syracuse police responded, are still investigating what caused the explosion. A teacher and teacher's assistant in the Rome City School District are facing criminal charges for what is being described as an excessive discipline on 3 children under the age of 10. According to Oneida Sheriff's Office, 30-year-old Ashley Rosbach and 47-year-old Maria Fountain were arrested this morning on charges of child endangerment and harassment. Investigators say these charges stem from an incident at Rome's John E. Joy Elementary School. We're told they are accused of using hands-on physical force that could not be justified under state laws. The 2 were released and are scheduled back in court at a later date. A recent report from the National Low Income Housing Coalition explored the wage needed to afford a 2-bedroom apartment.
And it turns out that minimum wage does not cover that cost in any state. And our reporter Katie Benoit is here in studio with more about how that might impact renters in Central New York. Hi, Katie.
Thanks, Ashley and Zach. I spoke to some residents who are making minimum wage, and they told me that affording rent while making this amount of money is very difficult. In Central New York, minimum wage is $10.40. So if you work 40 hours, 52 weeks a year, that's $21,632. Based on spending 30% of income on housing, the National Low Income Housing Coalition says that in Onondaga County, you need $28,760 to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. And if you want a 2-bedroom, you need to make $36,240.
You know, the minimum wage really hasn't kept up with rents, even in a relatively low housing place like upstate New York.
Ariana Myers has 2 jobs and still struggles to pay her rent in Camillus.
Saving is a big struggle because you don't have a lot of betterment for, like, a lot of room for betterment of yourself, of, you know, your situation.
Alyssa Raposo just finished undergrad at SU and is trying to afford an apartment on minimum wage.
It's quite impossible, and the only reason why I'm able to make ends meet is because I get like scholarships and stuff.
Dudkowski says even with the increase in minimum wage, it's not keeping up with inflation.
For the most part, rents go up higher than the inflation rate.
Spending more than 30% of income on rent makes it hard to budget other necessities too.
Me and my boyfriend, we have to write everything out so that, you know, because it's just easy to swipe a card.
For more information and a link to the complete report, you can visit nccnewsonline.com. Live in the studio, Katie Benoit, NCC News.
I think we all know how hard it is for minimum wage, so thanks a lot for that, Katie. We now turn our attention to warmer weather, which means more traveling, according to the TSA. And here in Syracuse, the TSA is preparing for a record-breaking travel season this summer. Brooke Minahan is live at Hancock International Airport with more on how to make sure your travels this summer are a little more hassle-free. How's it going, Brooke?
Thanks, Zach. TSA officials met this morning at Syracuse's Hancock Airport to discuss basically ways to keep things running smoothly in TSA checks during summer travel. Now, they say that they do everything in their power to make things go smoothly, but they want to remind passengers of their roles too. Now, for one, and carry-ons for prohibited items like batteries and lighters before going through security. Make sure to have a valid ID and a boarding pass ready. Remove all electronics larger than a cell phone, so like laptops and tablets. And with the warm weather here, they tend to pack sunscreen and tanning lotion. So TSA also wants to remind people of the liquid rule, which is liquids, gels, and aerosols must be 3.4 ounces or less. TSA also wants to remind people that not coming prepared results in slower lines and unnecessary bag checks. Now, reminder, construction is still going on at the airport. It's supposed to wrap up around October. TSA also says to make sure that you arrive at the airport before your flight about 90 to 2 hours in advance. So reporting live from Syracuse, Brooke Minahan.
All right, Brooks, thanks so much for that. A push to make sports gambling legal in New York is coming down to its final day this Wednesday. There is a pair of matching bills in both the Senate and Assembly that would allow wagering on mobile devices as well as casinos if passed. Currently, you can't place wagers anywhere in the state, but that could change shortly even without any legislation passed. The World Health Organization put gaming disorder on its most recent list of mental health disorders. NCC Stefan Oliva tells us how some experts think this problem is overblown.
Thanks, Zach. Studies have shown gaming disorder affects a very small percentage of the American population. Out of the roughly 19,000 people surveyed by the American Psychiatric Association, between only 0.3% and 1% had gaming disorder. Many people in the gaming industry also disagree with the World Health Organization's decision. Video game store owner Mike Saltzman says just like with other addictions, video games are bad when it consumes people's lives. He says he does not expect sales to be impacted and that no parents or customers have complained to him about gaming disorder.
Problem solving, things like that. Video games have a lot going for them. And I think most people know that, and we've had a deluge of reports and studies and information that has said exact opposite in the last 10 years. During the 90s, people...
Saltzman says video games have many benefits, including improving problem-solving skills and boosting creativity. Studies by publications like the Journal of Neuroscience and Molecular Psychiatry support his claims. Back to you, Zach and Ashley.
All right, Stefan, thanks so much. Coming up on NCC News, the Democrats' reaction to the situation at the U.S. southern border.
And find out how much you can save by switching to an electric car. Stay with us. The House of Democrats held a press conference today at the Capitol building to express their concerns over the separation of families at the U.S.-Mexican border prior to President Trump signing the new executive order. Congressman Luis Gutierrez said Democrats are standing together and hope to change immigration laws before the country loses its, quote, fragile democracy.
The Secretary of Homeland Security has lost all morals when it comes to protecting children and enforcing our immigration laws.
Pope Francis has also made headlines for criticizing the administration's zero-tolerance policy. He says this separation of families is immoral and contrary to Catholic beliefs. West Virginia Supreme Court Justice Alan Lawfrey has been indicted on 22 federal counts of witness tampering, fraud, and lying. The indictment says that FBI has been investigating Lawfrey for a year. Now he'll be suspended without pay.
In international news, United States Ambassador Nikki Haley announced the U.S. is withdrawing from the United Nations Human Rights Council due to bias against ally Israel and failure to hold human rights abusers accountable. The Trump administration threatened the move for months, but it comes one day after UN High Commissioner for Human Rights criticized the separation of the families at the U.S.-Mexico border. Haley says this is the United States taking a stand for human rights.
We take this step because our commitment does not allow us to remain a part of a hypocritical and self-serving organization that makes a mockery of human rights.
The European Union said today they will raise tariffs on the U.S. in response to President Trump's raising taxes on steel and aluminum. The European Commission announced there would be a 25% tariff on $3.2 billion of American goods, including items such as jeans and bourbon. EU Commissioner of Trade Cecilia Malmström said if the U.S. drops their tariffs, the EU will do the same.
Coming up next,
find out what advantages come with purchasing an electric car. The Syracuse Center of Excellence is hosting a free electric car event Thursday morning. People will be able to check out a variety of electric vehicles and learn more about available savings.
NCC's Brittany Henderson is here to tell us the benefits of owning an electric car. Brittany?
Yes, I spoke with officials from the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board, and they say there are several advantages to owning such an environmental friendly car.
They're also very quiet and responsive, so a lot of people like driving them better.
Owning electric cars has its benefits, and the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board says they have more benefits than creating a better environment. They save you money.
You can save on fuel, so electricity is cheaper than gasoline. So you'll save not only on fuel, but you'll also have more stable fuel costs because electricity is more stable than gasoline.
High gas prices are not the only thing that electric car owners can save money on.
You can save on maintenance because electric cars don't require oil changes.
You may think electric cars are expensive, but Mazzoni says that expensive purchase can also put some money back in your pocket through the electric car tax break.
That's a federal tax credit for anybody in the U.S. who buys an electric vehicle. The tax credit is up to $7,500 per vehicle.
New York buyers can also get up to $2,000 off in rebate. Mazzoni says the state of New York is trying to get more people to buy electric cars because of those many benefits. But getting more electric car users is kind of like the chicken and egg concept.
Which comes first, people switching to electric vehicles or the charging stations. So people are a little hesitant to buy an electric vehicle, not completely sure of where they can charge next because there's not an extensive network of charging stations.
The state of New York is pushing for more electric stations. Several are located in Syracuse, starting at 49 cents per e-gallon. About 170 electric cars owners are in Onondaga County.
Well, it's good to know they have so many places to charge it up, Brittany. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Syracuse has a long history of welcoming immigrants.
Our own Jose Cuevas tells us a brief history of one of Syracuse's largest communities that has an upcoming festival.
The first Polish immigrants came to Syracuse in the late 1800s in search of jobs. In 1882, the community founded the Basilica of the Sacred Heart in the West Side neighborhood. See right behind me. However, the community needed a cultural home, a space for Polish folk to gather and support each other. So, in 1919, the community founded the Polish Home. Throughout the early 1900s and through the 60s, the community opened several businesses and built many homes, specifically in the area around 690 and South Getty Street. Since then, many descendants of Polish immigrants have moved to other metropolitan areas on the East Coast. However, the community is alive, and throughout the work of the Polish Home and the annual Polish Festival, which is this weekend, and after trying pierogies for the first time, you might actually catch me eating at the pierogi eating contest at the festival this weekend.
That's great to say. Pierogies are very good. Now, kickball is usually a game played by kids, actually.
But that's not the case for a league here in Syracuse. We'll have more on that coming up next.
Welcome back. I'm Tyler Dudley with your NCC Sports Update. Now, the group stage of the 2018 FIFA World Cup is still in progress, but some teams are looking a little better than others. Portugal, Uruguay, and Spain will advance to the knockout stage after winning today. I'll have more on the World Cup at 4:45. Now, when you think of kickball, you might think of kids playing in school or at a park, but I caught up with a group of people who don't quite fit that picture.
I guess. So it's similar to as when you're a kid. It's just a little different.
Almost every day of the week, a group of adults around 30 years old get together for a game of kickball. Teams meet with the umpire, then it's time to play ball.
Fourth inning? Yeah. 5-0.
It all started because of Chiroc's personal interest in the game.
This guy jumped on a team with a bunch of people I didn't even know and had a blast, and that was about 15 years ago, and I've been hooked ever since.
One player has been playing for 3 years, and it's all because of
me.
A few of my friends are playing, so they asked me.
Chiroc said people get so disconnected being on their phones that being outdoors and meeting people face to face is nice for a change.
It's old school, I guess.
Bender's favorite part?
Not getting out, getting on base.
But for Chiroc, it's all about the people.
Camaraderie, just the social aspect of it, I think. You know, everybody kind of gets out and you definitely, every day you see people meeting new people.
The game comes with disappointment and excitement. Despite the final score,
Oh, you don't want to embarrass them with that. It's their first game.
We've done worse. It makes me feel like I'm back home playing with my neighborhood kids. So.
Now, Jessica told me it's all fun and games, but someone will get a little angry and frustrated and you see their competitive side, and then 5 minutes later, that same person will jump around like they're 3 years old again. That does it for NCC Sports at 4. I'm Tyler Dudley. I'll have more at 4:45. Back to you, Zach and Ashley.
Thanks, Tyler. That makes me actually want to join a kickball league. Now, Zach, it's officially wedding season.
Oh boy, do I know it. And we'll tell you how some couples are putting a new spin on a classic wedding tradition. Stay with us. Welcome back to NCC News at 4 o'clock.
Alexis Scott is in the studio to tell us what to expect at 4:45. Alexis?
Thanks, Zach and Ashley. For your news updates coming at 4:45, learn what changes are coming to the Syracuse International Airport that could affect you, and see why some are worried about their local swimming pools. Now back to you guys coming up at 4:45.
Looking forward to it, Alexis. Now, couples can share their love for each other with pizza, Ashley.
That's right, Zach. A pizza chain out of New Jersey is making pizza bouquets and boutonnieres. The chain will pick a lucky couple to make their wedding a little more savory.
Boy, I hope my fiance is not watching this and getting any ideas.
I actually like the idea. I might actually tell her myself, but you definitely should have.
Yeah, but usually the bouquet usually gets thrown to the bridesmaids, and I'm not a bridesmaid, so therefore I can't have any of the pizza.
You sound a little jealous.
I'm a little jealous, and that's why I'm going to end this now. That will do it for NCC News at 4 o'clock. I'm Zach Staten.
And I'm Ashley Burrows. The 4:45 report is next.